Hello everyone, Storm here, and today I'll be covering another brand new What If. This one is going to be a similar premise to some of my other recent series. We'll be taking Hercule, or Mr. Satan for some of you, and making him born as a Saiyan, but he's going to be sent to Earth like Goku, just like all the other ones. Now this is actually going to affect a lot of stuff in Dragon Ball, even just from the beginning, so I'm going to stop at the intro and get into the story now. So for this story, we're going to be saying that Borgos from Bardock's squad gets a wife and has a kid. When Gine and Bardock send Kakarot to Earth, Borgos' wife sees them and does the same with her own child. The young boy lands on Earth near the Satan dojo. He doesn't remember anything though due to the rocky landing and him bumping his head and stuff. Some time passes and the dojo master goes outside and finds the strange boy. He chooses to raise him and train him in the Satan dojo. So that's how the initial change works. It's pretty simple. Hercule becomes a great student over the years and actually gains tons of strength. You see, Hercule in canon is an incredibly strong dude. However, that's about it. He doesn't really go much further because he can't utilize his ki. Or at least, he never learned how. But being born as a Saiyan would give him that ability since pretty much every Saiyan uses ki. So he'd be slowly learning how to use that, making him the best student of the Satan dojo. Past that, we know from interviews with Akira Toriyama that Hercule and his master went to a bar when Hercule was young, probably in his early teens, which is what we'll be saying for this story. And this might seem like a strange thing for me to mention, but this is actually a pivotal part of Hercule's character. So at this bar, he and his mentor start making fun of some dude, but that dude turns out to be Mercenary Tao himself. And long story short, you can guess what would happen. He beats up both of them and kills Hercule's mentor. This is back when Mercenary Tao was like one of the strongest dudes in Dragon Ball. This is kind of what's to be expected if you try to insult him. And this caused Hercule to no longer challenge people he thought could actually be strong. He also took up the name Mr. Satan to honor his mentor and dojo. So here, that's going to happen the same way, except when his mentor dies, Hercule becomes enraged. He gets a power boost from this due to being a Saiyan, as we see Saiyans do that all the time, and tries attacking Tao once again. However, Tao easily dodges all of these blows and deals one chop to his neck that knocks the boy out. After that, Tao decides to leave, not viewing him as worth killing. Hercule later wakes up and remembers everything that just happened, vowing to get stronger and get revenge on Mercenary Tao. This is due to his Saiyan pride taking hold, so he isn't just gonna run away and cower, especially not because he saw how strong he became after his mentor died. Hercule heads back to the Satan dojo to tell his fellow students about what happened that night. He gets them all riled up about getting revenge on Tao, but some students question him. For starters, he seems really young to lead them, and on top of that, his mind seems set on revenge, which just isn't very smart. But this is just the minority of the students saying this, as most can easily get on board with his plan to get justice. So Hercule leads their training and tries to help them all become strong enough to take Tao down. One night, a few students leave the dojo due to his crusade of vengeance, and Hercule becomes upset. He gets deep in thought and goes outside to get some fresh air. He looks up to the sky, asking his mentor for guidance and if he's really doing the right thing. He sees the moon in all of its glory. It's full tonight, so it's even prettier than usual. But wait, you know what that entails. With Hercule being a Saiyan, him looking at the full moon causes him to transform into Enuzaru. He becomes larger and more violent, letting out a huge roar. This wakes up some students at the Satan dojo and causes them to run outside to see what's going on. They try to stop the beast, with the younger children wondering where Hercule is gone, hoping he returns to save them. The older kids attack and throw rocks at the Uzaru, but none of these attempts seem successful. Hercule, being unable to control this form, begins tearing apart the dojo, throwing chunks at the students. The beast goes on a rampage, slaughtering anyone who stands in his path. Eventually, the morning comes, and Hercule wakes up in his based form, with no clothes. He sees the destroyed dojo and rushes inside to find out what's going on. But what he finds is the dead bodies of all his brothers and sisters. He sees one of the younger kids bleeding out on the ground, so he picks them up. They look up at him, with the blood covering their wound. The child asks why he didn't save them, and Hercule is completely confused about the events that transpired last night. He seems to have blacked out. The child dies in his arms, and Hercule becomes filled with grief, sorrow, and anger. He isn't sure who's to blame for this, but he feels like Mercenary Tao must be involved somehow. Maybe he wanted to finish the job and not leave any of them alive. But it doesn't matter either way. He vows to get revenge on Mercenary Tao even if this wasn't him. What he's done before already has done enough. Even if he doesn't have his brothers and sisters beside him, he will get justice himself. He knows he's got it in him to beat Tao, he's just got to get the right training. Hercule travels around, seeking out Muten Roshi. The guy's pretty famous, so I think he'd learn of him at some point. Now we go to Goku and Bulma, and see that their journey has gone the exact same way, until they arrive at a village which is ruled over by the rabbit mob. The two goons from the canon story attack Goku, only for them to be hit in the back of their knees and fall to the ground. From behind them arrives Hercule, and his tail moves in front of him, directly in view of Goku. The two boys realize that they are similar, and Bulma, Oolong, Yamcha, and Puar are all like, oh no, not another one. Hercule explains that he's on his way to find Muten Roshi, and Goku realizes that he's talking about the turtle hermit guy they met before. So he agrees to take him to Kame House, but before that can happen, Monster Carrot shows up. He turns Bulma into a carrot, causing Goku to start a battle with him. Hercule doesn't want to help at first due to his scary ability, but he needs Goku in order to find Roshi. So he joins in at the end to take Monster Carrot down. After that, Goku sends him to the moon like he does in the show, and Bulma goes back to normal. Goku now makes good on his offer to Hercule to bring him to Roshi, but Bulma steps in and says that they'll only do it if he helps them in their quest. If he's anything like Goku, he'll be a great bodyguard while she continues to look for the Dragon Balls. From here, the Pilaf arc plays out as per normal until they get locked in the castle. Now, Hercule is able to assist Goku and Yamcha, and with their combined powers, they put a small hole in the wall. This allows Oolong and Puar to shapeshift and escape much sooner, even before Pilaf summons Shenron. The two swoop down with Puar distracting the Pilaf gang, while Oolong steals a Dragon Ball. They then fly back inside the castle, and Pilaf orders Mai and Shu to take the ball back. They break down the wall, only to have Yamcha, Goku, and Hercule jump them and beat them down. Pilaf then shows up in a plane, and it picks up Mai and Shu before escaping and leaving the Dragon Balls behind. This means that now the gang has a wish to make. However, Bulma and Yamcha have both gotten their wishes by meeting each other. Goku's only wish would be to bring back his grandfather, but he is content with staying dead, so the wish isn't granted. Hercule wants to bring back his own mentor, but we don't really know anything about him, so to prevent me making a character basically from scratch, we're gonna say he found peace, like Grandpa Gohan did, so he doesn't want to get brought back. This leaves Hercule to think deeply, before ultimately deciding on a new wish. Sure, he could bring back all the students from the Satan dojo, but he's got revenge in mind. He wishes to have a tracking device on Tao Pai Pai. The wish is granted by Shenron, and a machine similar to the Dragon Radar drops in Hercule's hands. After that, Goku and Hercule travel on the Flying Nimbus towards Kame House once Goku has packed his things. Roshi is very hesitant to train them at first, so he sends them out to find a girl. They end up meeting Krillin, and the three find Launch, bringing her back to the Kame House. Roshi now agrees to train the three boys, but learns of Hercule's plans for revenge. He tells them that he won't find any peace from that, and that he should leave it behind if he wishes to continue training. But he knows it may take some time for him to accept it, so we won't force him to change. Anyway, once the 8 months of training are over, Roshi enters them into the 21st Budokai. Hercule here will make it to the main bracket and replace Ranfan after beating her in the preliminaries. So the first two fights go the same way, with the first one to really change being the third fight, which would see Hercule fighting Nam. This battle is pretty close, but I think Hercule should be able to win here. He's already pretty strong, and he's been training with Roshi, so he should be relative to canon Goku, if not a little stronger. Speaking of Goku, since he has his tail right from the start, this makes him stronger and able to overpower the merry-go-round gum that Giran spawns. So once again, Roshi and Krillin's fight doesn't change, but next is Goku versus Hercule. This one is honestly a toss-up, as I think Hercule would be equal to Goku or a little bit stronger at this point, but Hercule hasn't really learned any moves that make you stronger, so I'll say Goku barely wins with the Kamehameha. After that, the boy goes on to fight Roshi and becomes an Uzaru due to the full moon. Hercule also transforms as well, and the two Uzarus begin battling. However, Roshi is able to quickly destroy the moon and finish his fight with Goku. He wins easier this time though, since Goku is hurt from his battle with Hercule. And with that, the tournament is over and Goku goes searching for the 4-star Dragon Ball. Hercule also goes back to train with Roshi more, as he can tell he isn't yet prepared to fight Tao. However, at some point, Hercule does leave to follow Tao and take him down. Back with Goku, most of his journey on the Red Ribbon arc will remain the same until he fights Mercenary Tao. Because this time, when Goku is about to fight him, Hercule shows up as well. Tao remembers his encounter with Hercule about a year ago, and says that he isn't going to let him live this time. So Hercule and Goku team up to fight Tao, leading to the mercenary easily dodging every attack they throw. He beats both of them up and fires 2 Dodon Rays, nearly killing both of them. Thankfully, Hercule barely survived, and Goku had the Dragon Ball in the way of the blast. He quickly got up and climbed Korin's tower in order to gain more power. At the same time, Appa took great care of Hercule and tried to make him get better. Once Goku finished his training with Korin, he returned to the bottom of the tower and gave Hercule a Senzu Bean as well. Hercule gets a boost from this, and the two once again fought Mercenary Tao. But this time, they were able to take him down, although Goku was carrying the fight due to his training with Korin and climbing the tower. By the end, Tao throws a grenade, which Hercule kicks back at him, causing it to explode and obliterate the assassin. Moving on, Goku goes to put an end to the Red Ribbon Army, but Hercule is a bit too scared to take on all that. So he decides to climb Korin's tower and gain more strength the same way Goku did. He also notes that revenge really didn't get him anywhere besides getting beat up, and he regrets not bringing back his brothers and sisters at the Satan Dojo. So before he climbs the tower, he throws the device that tracks Mercenary Tao onto the ground and crushes it under his boot. Then he begins climbing up, leaving revenge behind. Later on, Goku recruits Hercule for Baba's tournament in order to find the last Dragon Ball. They suggest letting Hercule fight Fangs, but after seeing what he did to Krillin, he's not doing that. I know someone's going to be upset about Hercule acting this way now that he's a Saiyan, but that doesn't mean he doesn't get scared of things. We've got to keep some character traits in there somehow. And besides, we've seen Goku and Vegeta terrified before of things like needles and worms. Appa and Puar team up to scare Fangs away, and so Yamcha is up next. Sadly, he still loses to bandages after beating the Invisible Man. The second to last fighter is Hercule, who would easily defeat bandages due to his training. He would then go on to fight Spike and beat him as well. Remember, at this point, he's climbed Korin's tower and trained with Korin just like Goku did, so the two are pretty close in power. And what's interesting is that even if Spike did use the Devil Might Beam, I feel like Hercule would be pretty close to surviving it at this point, given the fact that he has left revenge behind him pretty recently, and he's realized his mistakes, so he probably has closer to a pure heart. So even if he doesn't have the full thing, if Spike did potentially use it, he would be able to survive the blast. However, when Hercule fights the Masked Warrior, he is defeated after a brief battle. This causes Goku to finally step up and lose his tail in the battle before the warrior reveals himself to be Grandpa Gohan. He then forfeits, and the gang learns that Pilaf has the last Dragon Ball. With that in mind, Goku chases down the Pilaf gang and steals it, wishing for Bora to be brought back to life. And now Goku is going to travel the world and get even stronger. Roshi also instructs Hercule to do the same, as he is on a similar level to Goku. He does so, and over that time, the two would roughly grow equal by the end. I do think Goku would have a slight edge in power though, so while he's 180, Hercule's like 175 in terms of power level. During the 3 years, you'd see Hercule create some of the moves that we see in the games like Mega Ultra Super Dynamite Kick and all that crazy stuff. He would also meet a girl, who will later go on to be his wife. Yeah, we're still keeping that intact for his character, as Videl is pretty important to Hercule in his story. However, we don't really know anything about the mother, so we'll only mention her briefly on important parts. Kinda like how I did with his mentor. I just think it makes sense for Hercule to meet her while he's traveling the world. But anyway, the 3 years would pass, and the gang reunites at the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. The girl Hercule met would be present and watching the tournament to see her friend succeed. The bracket is mostly the same, except with Hercule replacing Pamput, since he would beat him in the preliminaries. This means that he's going to be fighting Goku in the first match, and that might sound bad, but the other option was him replacing Manwolf and fighting Roshi, so either way he's in a bad spot. And no, I'm not going to randomize the bracket, because Chaozu changing it with telekinesis is an actually pretty important thing here. And if anything, pitting Hercule against his friends is a smart move to let them beat each other. So, the fights go the same way up until Hercule fights Goku. Here the fight would be extremely close, and Goku would have to exert his full power to win. We'd see Hercule using his crazy moves that I mentioned earlier, and Goku barely being able to counter them. They both get hurt pretty badly during the fight and are satisfied with just how much they pushed each other. Like Krillin, Hercule is going to be inspired by Yamcha to use the Kamehameha wave in this fight. And also like Krillin, he's only going to be able to make a small one at first, which allows Goku to overpower it with his own Kamehameha. And because of that, Hercule is a little disappointed that he can't beat Tenshin on himself, but he's got confidence in his friend now that he beat him. And so the rest of the tournament plays out pretty much exactly the same. Goku might be slightly stronger after he recovers due to that intense battle, but I don't think it'd be a huge difference. So, Tenshinhan wins and leaves the Crane School along with Chaozu. Krillin goes to get Goku's Dragon Ball and Power Pole, however, we know how that ends up. He is attacked from behind by Tambourine and killed. The gang walks in and Goku holds his dead friend. But that's where we're going to leave off for part 1. Things have gone mostly the same so far, but this is just the beginning of the story and I spent a lot of time setting up Hercule's origin. So I think it makes sense why not too much has changed just yet. The next part will definitely see some more fun development for Hercule's character, so I hope you all will subscribe and like to see it come sooner. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.